Hello, my name is Sally Pinto, and I'm the Program Director for the Yonkers NORC, Neighborhood Naturally Occurring Retirement Community. We serve seniors 60 plus in Northeast Yonkers. We are under the auspices of WJCS and the Yonkers Office for the Aging. We also have a resource specialist and a nurse on staff. We conduct virtual programming in partnership with the Yonkers Public Library on a daily basis. Enjoy the program.
And then make sure you have water today, especially because the weather is getting so much warmer. So just making sure that you stay hydrated. So I have a little bit of a different backdrop today. My elevator has been broken in my building for like 4 days. So I don't want to go up and down the stairs anymore. So I relocated for the day. So we're going to start on our back and have your pillow or your blankets near you. And then as always, when we first arrive in our starting position, you can move around as much as you need. Just start to kind of check in with the body. As the weather's changing, you might notice some different sensations. And then let's start in a nice, full, and expansive place today. So we'll extend our legs out long, and you can even take the legs a little wide. You can always slide a pillow or a blanket behind the backs of the legs. And then let's bring those arms up wide, almost like they're in a Y shape. So we're trying to make our body into like a starfish. If, as we continue to hold, there's anything that's just starting to come up in the low back and maybe you've got the props underneath your legs and they're not working for you anymore, go ahead and just keep the knees a little bent, but still keep the knees really wide so you can let the feet be flat on the floor. And you can even start here and then slowly make your way to straighten the legs. You can close your eyes or just soften your gaze. Just begin to check in with your breath. Continuing to check in with your body. And if you notice any places of extra tightness or tension, see if you can soften those muscles around that spot, even just 1% more. And know and remember that if you start to feel any pain anywhere, that it's okay to shift and change the shape a little bit. A reminder that we're not always focused on alignment here, but really trying to allow our bodies to soften, maybe meeting a bit of discomfort, but always avoiding that place of pain. If you started with your knees bent, see how it feels to maybe straighten them out a little bit more. And again, they can always rest on pillows or blankets. Finding our final few rounds of breath here. Last one. Slowly start to bend your knees. You can do one leg at a time and just allow the feet to root on the floor. Keep the feet pretty wide here. So still think like you're in that starfish shape. And just gently start to rock the knees from side to side. Keep your arms in your starfish though. It doesn't matter how far the knees go, but just adding a little bit of motion. And then start to walk the feet a little bit closer together. And continue that windshield wiper motion. Maybe the hips lift a little bit more. Take a couple more movements here. And then keeping your feet on the ground, allowing the knees to pause in the middle. And start to bring the soles of the feet together. Allow the knees to drop wide. So coming into these butterfly legs. Keep your arms in your big wide starfish. Try not to let those shoulders come up really close to the ear. Try to soften the shoulder blades into the floor. And always add that support underneath the knees or the thighs. And don't feel like wherever you start with the support that you have to stay the whole time we're here. Softening through the toes. And the glutes. Noticing if you're holding or adding tension anywhere. Taking your final breath here. So you're gonna keep the left leg in your butterfly. And then just start to plant your right foot on the floor. So the knee is pointing up to the sky. So your hips might start to shift a little bit to the left, and that's okay. And you can always keep that prop underneath the left leg. We're gonna leave it there for a little bit. And leave your left arm where it is. And reach your right arm up overhead. So that right arm is resting on the floor. And then begin to lengthen your right leg down the mat. So you're really stretching and reaching through your right side. And actually, let's go ahead and place that left hand on our belly. So the left side is going to be a little closed off. And that right side is going to focus on getting really, really long. You can always place a pillow underneath your right hand or your right forearm. And if that arm just starts to need, if that elbow needs to bend a little bit, that's fine. Don't force it straight if it's causing any pain, or if you feel like you don't have that range of motion today. I definitely don't. Continuing to bring yourself back to your breath. And while our left side is finding a little space on the inner and outer part of the hip, our right side is trying to find a little release at the front of our hip. I remember last week it was brought up that as the weather is getting nicer, people might be walking a little bit more. Whether walking outside is your exercise and you're going a little more speed walking, or just walking your dog or going on a stroll. Trying to release our hip flexors and our outer hips can be a really great practice while we're walking a lot. Even if you run outside, these hip flexors and hips work really hard to hold up your body when you walk and run. Just a couple more breaths on this side. The fun part about being at my parents' house is they have a landline. So the phone rings. It's just part of the noises that happen in the background. Try not to let them pull you out of your practice, but just letting them be a part of what's going on. Last breath here. So let's leave our legs where they are for another moment. And we'll slowly start to drag that right arm down and place that right hand on your belly. And then start to drag. You don't even have to lift the leg up. You can literally drag the foot on the ground to place the right foot back on the floor. And before we shift to the other side, let's bring both knees up to the sky. So let's let that left leg come out of that butterfly that it's been in, what might feel like forever. And then let's add a little movement, rocking the knees from side to side. If you had any props on the left side that you know you're going to want on the right side, just using this time to also just move them over. And keeping the left foot where it is, let's let that right knee drop out into that half butterfly. You might even bring the left knee with it a little bit just to start so that your hip can feel it. Your sides probably feel a little different. And then nice and slow, allow that left leg to come long. So we're creating this reclined tree pose with the lower half of our body. You'll keep your right hand on your belly and start to bring the left arm back out and allow it to make its way up overhead. So whether that's a Y, more of a Y, whether that has a bend in the elbow, or you're resting the arm on a pillow. When you first get there, you might take a couple of rounds of breath and then kind of play with the shape again and see if you can take it a little bit deeper. You can always play with the prop. You can always play with the foot. So how far away that right foot is from you, how close it is to you, your torso, how close it is to the left leg, how far away it is from the left leg. There's going to be a happy middle spot, our Goldilocks spot. Gonna look a little different for everyone. Probably a little different every day. Just a little while longer here. Last few rounds of breath. Take your final breath here. We'll move our arm first. So go ahead, and again, it can drag across the floor. Just bring that left hand to meet your belly. Drag your left heel and foot on the floor to bring the knee back up to the sky, foot on the ground. And then bring your right foot onto the ground to meet it. And again, you can invite any movement here. Rock the knees. And then walk your feet a little bit wider than your hips. And just allow the knees to start to fall towards each other. It doesn't matter if they touch. And then let's bring those arms back out into a T. So bring them a little wide. And they're really heavy here. The arms are really heavy here. So you might feel like you have to work really, really hard, but start to reach the arms all the way up to the sky. And feel like you're trying to pull the shoulder blades apart. So again, the arms feel really heavy. They'll start to feel a little lighter as you hold them up, and I promise you we're not going to be here for long. But I want you to really feel like you're pulling the shoulder blades apart. Create some space in between those shoulder blades. And start to give yourself a hug with the right elbow on top. So the elbows might start to fall up and almost like they're going to cover your mouth. Or they might fall a little down, but most likely they're going to kind of fall somewhere in the middle of that. So it might feel like you have to do a little bit of action to keep them there, but I want you to try to feel that forward up and down motion until you're kind of like in the middle where you feel like you can really just let the arms relax. You can let the fingers relax. It doesn't matter if you bring them down a little bit more and it's almost like you're giving yourself a little bit of a lighter hug and the hand is more at the elbow. That's perfect as well. But the only thing I care about you focusing on here is that you're trying to keep that space between your shoulder blades on the ground. So we're just creating a little bit of an opening there. Just allowing that part to release a little bit. And keeping the arms where they're at, just start to windshield wiper the legs once again. And then you'll eventually allow the knees to drop over to the right side. So you can always slide some props underneath your knees here, but then always bring yourself back to that hug. If the hug is too much, adding the twist, you can just feel like you're just kind of crossing the arms. That way it feels like the arms are a little bit more locked, keeping that space. And then you might even bring your gaze over to the left shoulder just to counter the shift to the right. As always, if there's any pain happening in that left knee, you can place the foot on the floor. And it's almost like now we're just in a really wide butterfly shape here. We're not here for too long, about 3 more rounds of breath. And start to bring the knee all the way back up to the sky. Bring both knees. Unwrap the arms. You can bring them out wide. Rock the knees a little bit from side to side. And then allow the knees to knock towards each other in the middle. Let the arms get really heavy on the ground here. Let them really relax and let go. And start to reach those arms all the way up to the sky. Again, just focusing on creating that space between the shoulder blades. And then give yourself a hug with the left elbow on top, the left arm on top. And let them rest kind of somewhere floating in the middle, or you can always come to more of that cross arm shape. So you feel like you can let go a little bit more. You know, we're going to turn this into a little bit of a twist. And allow the knees to rock and roll, windshield wiper, and eventually stop over to the left. And bring your gaze over the right shoulder. So call one more rounds of breath here. And then nice and slow, start to bring the knees all the way back up. Unwrap the arms, let them come out to the side or even down by your side. You can find a little windshield wiper to rinse it out. You might even find a few kind of pelvic tilts, just gently rocking the pelvis a little forward and back, really slow. And let's reach that right arm up overhead. And just roll onto your right side. So just letting all of the weight lift up off of the spine. So we are staying on our back for all of class today. So I want to make sure we get a few moments off of the back. And you can use your head, your arm as a pillow, or you can use a pillow as a pillow. Check back in with your breath here. Softening the muscles of the back. Couple more breaths here. So before we come back onto our back, go ahead and take one of your pillows. You can use a blanket too, but you're going to bring it behind your back. So it's on the floor behind you. so that it's going to be like kind of right underneath your heart, but the back of your head will still be able to rest on the floor. So when you roll back over, you've actually got that little extra support underneath the heart space. But your head and your hips are still on the ground. So if you have a blanket or a towel, it doesn't have to be a lot, just a little lift is perfect. So you can unfold it and just like lay it long underneath you. Your arms can be wherever is comfortable, and your legs can be wherever is comfortable. For some of us, it might be more comfortable to leave the feet on the ground. And for some of us, it might feel better to lengthen the legs. Wherever you're at, see if you can soften a little bit. So if you've got the feet on the ground, maybe the knees just knock towards each other, so you don't feel like you have to work really hard to hold the knees up. Feeling a little bit more expansion through the front of your ribs, through your chest and your heart space. Coming back to your breath. Few more rounds of breath here. Last 2 rounds of breath. If your legs are straight, go ahead and plant the feet on the floor. So the way that we'll come out of this is actually to roll onto the left side. So just like we did a few moments ago, go ahead and roll onto your left side and just move that pillow or towel or blanket out from under you and come into that fetal position. Connecting back with your breath. Couple more breaths here. And then start to roll all the way back onto your back. And one knee at a time, pick your favorite to start. Just hug it in towards the chest. Squeeze it in tight. So with the exception of those fetal positions on our sides, this is the most we've gone in this direction all of class. So I want you to be really gentle with your low back and with closing off the front of the hip. So we're doing it one side at a time. You can rock the knee. You might feel a little massage on the lower back as you do this. And then switch sides. Just hug your other knee in. Adding any movement. And maybe you start to hug both knees in. You can also just go back to the first knee and do a few rounds of breath again on each side, or you can bring both knees in at the same time. Yogi's choice. See what feels good in your body here. Start to place the feet back on the floor and cross your right ankle on top of your left knee. Your arms can be wherever you'd like. You can roll out the right ankle. And then switch legs. Place the right foot on the floor, cross the left ankle over. Uncross the legs, And we'll do a final hug of the knees into the chest. Rock, feel that massage on the lower back. You can hold on to your knees, or you can hold on to your pants, or even like use a blanket or like a sweatshirt around the knees to hold it in. You can even cross the feet like I did. Let's take about 3 full rounds of breath here. Just nice, long, powerful breaths. And then slowly start to let the feet go, let the knees go, let the legs come out long in front of you. Arms fall by your side, sliding anything you need underneath the legs. If you are totally done being on your back, you can always take that final Shavasana in your fetal position. Or even just throwing your legs over a chair or up a wall. Just using these last few minutes in complete and total gratitude for your practice today. Shavasana.
Just starting to bring some awareness back into the space. Starting to bring some awareness back into the body. Inviting small movements back in. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Rolling out wrists and ankles. And rocking your head from side to side. When you are ready, starting to bring yourself all the way up, coming into a comfortable seat. Keeping your focus inside. Bringing your hands to your heart center, gently bow your head. Thank yourself for making it to your mat today, for your practice, for your energy, for your breath, and most importantly, for yourself. Namaste.
Hi, everyone. This is Z from Yonkers Public Library. Thanks so much to Sally Pinto and Alexis from Newark. Thank you to our community partners, WJCS, the City of Yonkers Office for the Aging, Friends of Crestwood Library, and Yonkers Public Library for making this phenomenal partnership. And we thank each and every one of you for being part of our wellness community. Be well, stay well.